What is up, everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool video back in Planet Coaster 2 discussion. When we were here last time, we were talking about what coaster types I think would be making it into Planet Coaster 2, which is a good majority of them, I thought. But be sure to check out that video if you haven't already. But today we're going to be checking out what flat rides I think will make it back into Planet Coaster 2. Now, some of these we already know and are confirmed, which we'll get to that. But anyways, I want to go around each one and kind of give my speculation if I believe that it will make its way into Planet Coaster 2 some way, shape, or form. I think a lot of these will, but they'll get kind of like a reskin kind of done, and we'll get into that here soon. But let's start with the 360 power. This one's already been confirmed, as it's already been in screenshots and I believe the trailer. So the 360 power is making a return. You'll be able to obviously do scenery with it and everything, with all these flat rides as well. So and you can animate it with it as well, which is pretty cool. So obviously that one's confirmed. We have the Ascendance, which is kind of like the drop slash launch tower, one of them, and we have this one, and then of course we have the hyper jump as well, which are the two different varying sizes. I think this will be morphed into one in Planet Coaster 2, so I think they make a return, but I think they're going to be morphed into one where you can adjust the heights. Now, that's not confirmed yet if we can adjust heights in Planet Coaster 2, but it's something that I think will be the case because late in Planet Coaster's life, we did get other tower rides where we could adjust the heights, like the Rising Raptor, which is something that you could do in, again, these newer ones, or these newer tower rides that we got towards the end of Planet Coaster's life cycle. Those you could actually adjust the height for. And but anyways, I think these will get into the game of Planet Coaster 2 just in a new form, where we'll see like a one version where you can adjust the height. That way they don't have to have two different variants of the same. As for the big wheel, I think this is an obvious choice to be returning to the game because it's just your classic Ferris wheel, so that makes sense. As for the blackout, I feel like it could get back into the game maybe as a reskin. This is one that I never really used all that much, but I think it could come back into Planet Coaster 2 just as a reskin and have more of a generic theme, because obviously, again, with the customization we're going to have with the flat rides in Planet Coaster 2, I think everything's going to be very generic and gives us the opportunity to add our own scenery to the vehicles and everything, and we'll be able to animate it with those. But I think these things will return, but just in a reskin. Same with the Bump Derby here. I think it makes a return. No, I mean, it's bumper cars. Of course, it's going to make it into a theme park simulator. So I think that returns. The Centrum here, I think will also make a return. I mean, most of these are probably going to make a return. I'm just going to keep that clear. I'm just kind of giving my thoughts of how they might be returning. But most of these might come back with a reskin. The Chairplane definitely is going to be making a return as well, because it's your classic chair swing. I could see some updates to the textures and everything, and just making it look a lot better overall, for sure. And then we have the Collider. I think this is another one I think will get a reskin. Like, I think it will come back because it's basically your Enterprise ride, but I think it's going to have a generic theme as well, instead of this like spacey kind of theme. I think they learned kind of early on in Planet Coaster's development that we wanted more generic themes rather than having set themes to some of these rides. And Planet Coaster 2 goes beyond that, where we're going to be able to, again, edit or customize the theming and actually animate it with the ride. So we could actually create custom cars and stuff like that in a way. So next we have the spinny type ride, the Coralis or whatever it's called. I think it was in a DLC, I believe, if I remember right. I'm not entirely sure if it was, but I'm not sure. This was one that could potentially not make it back, but I think it will. And then we have the Elixir Machine. I think will make a return. Again, just kind of like a re-theme. a reskin where it's more generic. The Forge could be one that comes out, because this is like one of those rare flat rides that I think there's only like one in existence. So I do think it will make a return because it is a very iconic ride in Planet Coaster, I think, as well. The Free Flyer, again, some of these are DLC. I don't know if the DLC rides will make it into the base game of Planet Coaster 2, but I think this would be one of those if they did. The Gears of Fear, I think, will return, potentially with a reskin of being a generic theme. I don't think we're going to have set themes, and that's what the blueprints are going to be for. I think they'll have blueprints. I think they're going to have ride blueprints, maybe in the base game, potentially, where they are slightly themed as well. The Genie could return as well. I think we'll also maybe get a disco ride as well, because we don't have one of those, like the Zamperla discos, which is kind of similar to this ride, but except it's kind of a smaller version, and it's just like a U-shaped. But, yeah, I think, again, we'll get reskins of that. The Golden Eagle here, which is the other variant of the Rising Raptor, I think will make a return. And again, I don't know if these will be in DLC, but I think they will make a return. Grand Carousel will make a return just easily. I think the Hammer Swing does as well. It's a very popular flat ride. Helium Ring should make a return as well. Horror Heights, I think could. This is kind of like your, again, kind of like your little slight drop tower, a very, very unique ride that you're supposed to theme up, and I think it could definitely make a return. Your Scrambler ride's going to be in there for sure. Hyper Jump we already talked about. Hyper Spin, another generic flat ride that I think will return. Insanity will return. Iron Claw, I think, is going to return as well, in all of its glory. The Kickflip, maybe, maybe not, but I think it will. And the Loop-de-Loop, I don't know, maybe these two are kind of ones that might be on the chopping block potentially, but I feel like they still could be in there. The Looper, now this is one I feel like could get the axe for sure. It's definitely a weird, unique ride that I'm not entirely sure of. The Magic Twirl, I think, is going to get the axe. I think this one will. However, I think there's going to be a variant of it that's generically themed, because obviously this is basically kind of like your Dumbo the Flying Elephant ride, your Elephants ride, but it's kind of got that fantasy theme. But again, we'll be able to do our own theming and stuff, customizing. So I think this is going to be one of the ones that gets a reskin to where it's just generic. And then all of these guys, the Monteleone, I think, will make a return again. And the DLC ones might not make a return. That's kind of the ones where I'm just like, I'm not sure. Maybe they'll have one DLC where you can get all these previous ones. That way they're not in the base game, maybe. I'm not sure. But the Top Spin, or the Overpower in this case, will return for sure, I think. And then the Pathos 3. This is one I could see returning and potentially not returning to, but I think it will return. You're probably going to notice a big trend here that I think most of all of these, if not all of them, are going to return, just with a reskin and slight updates. So the power moves, I think that will be back. If one's on the chopping block, I think it'd be this guy, the Psychola. This one might not even make a return, because I don't know of anyone that actually used this flat ride. So this is one that I could see potentially not returning at all. And if it does, I think it would be a reskin to have a more generic theme with where you do the theming yourself. So, but this is definitely one that I think could not be in the game potentially, just because of how, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. I don't really see many of these in parks to begin with, so it's definitely one. It's probably my first one that I could definitively say I wouldn't miss if it wasn't in Planet Coaster 2. Like, I'm all for having as many flat rides into the game, so not a big deal there if they decide to keep it or move it. But I'm always want them to have many, many more, as many as possible. But this is one I could see that could get replaced with maybe something else, you know, for sure. And then we have the Radius. This is obviously making a return because it did appear in the trailer and screenshots. So this one has already been confirmed, is making its way over to Planet Coaster 2. Rising Raptor, and this is one of the ones that have adjusting heights. I think will also, kind of with the Golden Eagle, I feel like you could potentially make that one piece, and then like you can adjust which type of one, which one you use. Then we have the Rocktopus. I think the Rocktopus is making it back, just maybe without the octopus on top. So again, I think I think every flat ride in Planet Coaster 2 is going to be generically themed, and then if you want a themed version but you don't want to work on it, that's what the blueprints are going to be for. So there will be a blueprint option as well, just like in Planet Coaster 1 here, we have the blueprint option, and we have stuff like this will basically be Planet Coaster 2. So like you can just load in a blueprint, say like this one right here or something else, you know, there's a lot of different options. I mean, we could do that in Planet Coaster 1. The difference is we'll be able to animate these things with the ride, which is pretty cool. So Around the World might not make a return, but it's part of the classic rides, one of the DLCs, so I'm not sure. The Scissor is basically the same as the Hurricane, in my opinion, so I feel like this one could go away in favor of just using the Hurricane. They're not really different, so I'm not really sure why we even got two different ones to begin with. This one kind of has a slight theme to it, so I could definitely see this one not returning, because I think the Hurricane's the more classic, unthemed, generic one, and I feel like that could make it. We'll definitely make it back. I mean, you can see the platform slightly different, and this one's raised up a little bit, but I don't see the reason of having both of them, to be honest. Then we have the Sky Ace. I think this will make a return as well. I never really actually used this, but again, I think we'll have more of a generic theme. Sky Temple, this is kind of one of those bizarre ones, but I do think this one could potentially not make it back, because it is one of those bizarre rides that kind of made it in. I think it was one of the DLCs that it's actually in, but this is another one that I think potentially might not make it back, but, you know, again, I would, best case scenario, all of these return with either a reskin or a generic version. So, next we have the Skywatcher, which is a giant observation tower, which is great, and I think it will make a return just with an adjustable height. I think all the tower rides will have adjustable heights. Next we have the Star Wheel. This is one of those unique rides that you know, you only see like maybe one of in the world, but I think it could make a return, but I think it has maybe like a 50, it's one of those rides that maybe have like a 50-50 shot or so, but I wouldn't care whether it got the axe or not, because I never used this in any of my parks. But again, the more flat rides the better. Like, in the best case scenario, all these come back and we have more as well, so that's the best case scenario. But realistically speaking, I'm trying to think of ones that they might not bring back. So next we have the Sunflare. This is definitely making a return. It was already confirmed in one of the screenshots. I think it's got a slight different redesign though, and hopefully we'll be able to adjust the height as well, but that one is confirmed to be back. I think easily the Sundial will come back. It's one of the more popular flat rides out there. Swift Drifters, I think, could come back as well. Again, with these classic DLC rides, I'm not entirely sure how those are going to work, if they're going to potentially leave them out and maybe have them in other DLCs, or maybe they'll have like a returning ride DLC where you can get all the DLC rides from the first game into the second game. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how all that pans out. But next we have the Swift Eagles. I think this will make a return as well, as one of those awesome rides. I think it's also a DLC ride, but still. Teacups is already confirmed, so we already know that's making a return, but it's going to have a generic theme where we can actually theme it ourselves, and we can actually have scenery pieces on it. So that was one of the ones that was obviously featured. And then this Test Flight ride, I think, could make a return as well. I think it might be a DLC. I could be wrong on some of these that are not DLCs. They blend together in my head a few times, but I think the Aeronauts will make a return, of course. It's a very iconic flat ride as well. The Cube, I think, will also make a return. You see a few of these in some of the Six Flags parks, I think, and a few other places. Very unique ride, but I don't think there's that many of them out there. But and we have the Screaminator, which is drop tower ride. I think it also makes a return, but with adjustable heights as well. And we have the Tri-Storm, or the Troika in real life. This will definitely make a return. It's one of those rides. And then we have like the small Venetian Carousel. I definitely think we could see this come back as well. I think we'll see like multiple different carousels. Obviously we have this and the Grand Carousel, but I think this definitely will make a return. And then of course we have your classic pirate ship ride, the Victory, which definitely will make a return. Whether or not, I mean, you still, will it be kind of still piratey theme? Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they come out with a generic theme and we'll add it ourselves. Again, for those that are worried about, you know, like, oh, now I'm going to have to add this theming to the rides, you know, that's what the blueprints, again, are going to be for. I'd imagine they will have blueprints even before players make them, and you'll even have like the Steam Workshop to work with. So in the base game, I think there will be some blueprints that we can use as well. I bet we'll get that teacups one with like the aquatic theme and stuff. But then we have this guy, this horn. I think will same with the Monte Leon. It's basically the same ride, just with a roof. Again, it's a DLC ride. I think it could make a return. The Whirly Rig, I really hope makes a return with its iconic music, because I don't think I could live in Planet Coaster 2 without that iconic going out through my park. So it definitely should make a return. Wild Blue, I think, will return. It's a very good ride, very popular ride, and one of the first rides I usually place down in like a challenge park because it's just a moneymaker. And then, of course, we have the Zozo, which I never really used, and it's kind of like the Loop-de-Loop. It's kind of like one of those classic rides that, you know, you maybe use in like a very old amusement park, maybe. But yeah, I think very possible for those to come back. So just kind of like with the coasters, I think a majority of these things are all going to make a return, and it's great for us because it only means that Planet Coaster 2 is going to have a much larger library of rides and attractions that we'll be able to use in our parks. So yeah, I think all of these are returning. Next video we could potentially do is maybe shops and facilities, but I really think all the shops and facilities are coming back, so I don't even know if it's possible to even really needed to really do a video on that. But let me know in the comment section, guys, what you guys think will return flat ride wise. Do you think I was correct on a lot of these, or do you think I'm wrong, or do you think all of them are returning? I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts. Which one of these, what flat rides do you for sure need to have in Planet Coaster 2 that haven't been confirmed? So definitely adjustable heights on tower rides, I think, definitely need to be a thing in Planet Coaster 2. I think they will. I think it'd be kind of upsetting if they weren't, since they started to do it at the end of Planet Coaster 1 with some of these other rides. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys have a great day and cooler tomorrow. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks so much, and goodbye.